Juan had always believed that dreams were like the kites he used to watch from the rooftops of Manila, beautiful, distant, and meant for other people. From the narrow alleyways of Tonda, where rusted tin roofs clung to each other like tired shoulders and the smell of fried bananas mixed with exhaust fumes, Juan's life unfolded quietly. He was 12 years old, barefoot more often than not, with a voice that carried more hope than his surroundings ever did. His home was a single-room shanty shared with his mother and younger sister, its walls patched with cardboard and old posters that tried and failed to hide the cracks. His father had passed away years ago, leaving behind memories and a broken guitar with only 5 strings. Every morning before the sun rose, Juan would wake to the sound of vendors calling out their goods and jeepneys rattling past. He helped his mother prepare rice and dried fish, then walked his sister to school before heading to the streets. There, he sang. Sometimes outside bus terminals, sometimes near small eateries where people gathered after long shifts. He sang not because he expected coins to fall at his feet, but because singing made him feel less hungry, less afraid, and less invisible. His voice was soft yet powerful, carrying the raw emotion of a boy who had learned too early how heavy life could be. Music had found Juan before he even knew what it was. As a child, he would sit beside his father at night, listening as the old guitar whispered songs about love, loss, and hope. Even when the electricity was cut off and darkness swallowed their home, music remained. After his father's death, the guitar became a sacred object. Juan fixed its strings with fishing line and taught himself chords by watching other street musicians. He didn't know the names of the notes, but he understood how they felt. Each song was a story, and every story felt like his own. One afternoon, while Juan was singing near a small television repair shop, a crowd gathered unusually fast. People weren't just listening, they were staring at the screen inside the shop. America's Got Talent was playing, dubbed in Filipino. Juan had heard of the show before, stories of ordinary people becoming extraordinary overnight. He watched performers from around the world stand on a massive stage, judges smiling or frowning, crowds cheering. When the golden buzzer moment appeared on screen, Juan felt something shift inside him. The audience erupted, golden confetti falling like rain. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine standing there. That night, Juan told his mother about his dream. She listened quietly, her hands busy mending clothes by candlelight. She didn't laugh. She didn't say it was impossible. She simply nodded and told him that dreams were gifts, but they needed courage to be opened. Weeks later, a local community center announced auditions for an international talent scout connected to AGT. The idea seemed unreal, like a rumor, but Juan knew he had to try. He practiced every night, singing softly so his sister could sleep, pouring every ounce of his heart into each note. The day of the audition arrived with heavy rain. Juan walked for miles, clutching his broken guitar wrapped in plastic. His clothes were simple, his shoes worn thin, but his eyes burned with determination. Hundreds of people filled the hall, dancers, singers, magicians, all chasing something more. When it was Juan's turn, he stepped onto the small stage, trembling. He introduced himself in a shy voice and began to sing an original song about a boy who dreamed beyond hunger and fear. Silence followed. Then applause. Not loud, not thunderous, but sincere. A woman from the panel wiped her eyes. Another judge leaned forward, asking Juan where he learned to sing like that. When he answered, honestly and simply, the room felt smaller, more intimate. Days later, Juan was told he had been selected to audition for America's Got Talent in the United States. His mother cried when she heard the news, holding him tightly as if afraid he might disappear. The journey to America felt like stepping into another world. Tall buildings, bright lights, unfamiliar faces, everything overwhelmed Juan. Backstage at AGT, he watched performers rehearse, heard languages he couldn't understand, and felt fear creep into his chest. He wondered if he belonged there at all. But when he touched his guitar, remembered his father's songs and his mother's faith, the fear softened. When Juan walked onto the AGT stage, the lights blinded him. The audience was enormous, their faces a sea of anticipation. The judges sat before him, Simon Cowell in the center, expression unreadable. Terry Crews smiled warmly from the side. Juan introduced himself, his accent thick but his voice steady. Simon asked him why he was there. Juan paused, then said he was there to sing for his family, for his country, and for every child who thought dreams were too far away. He began to sing. The song was simple, but every note carried pain, hope, and truth. His voice cracked at moments, not from weakness, but from emotion too big for his small frame. The audience leaned in. Some closed their eyes. Others wiped away tears. Simon, known for his tough criticism, softened visibly. Halfway through the song, a hush fell over the room, as if the world itself had stopped to listen. When the final note faded, there was silence, then an eruption. The crowd rose to its feet, applause crashing like waves. Juan stood frozen, unsure if he had done something wrong or right. Simon spoke first, his voice calm but sincere. He told Juan that talent like his couldn't be taught, that it came from life itself. He said he had heard many singers, but very few who made him feel something real. Then, without warning, Simon stood up and reached for the golden buzzer. The moment it was pressed, golden confetti exploded from above, raining down on Juan. He gasped, covering his mouth as tears streamed down his face. Terry Crews rushed the stage, hugging him tightly. The audience chanted his name. Juan fell to his knees, overwhelmed, crying not just for himself, but for every night he had gone to bed hungry, every song sung on the streets, every tear his mother had hidden. In that moment, Juan was no longer invisible. News of his golden buzzer spread across the world. In Manila, neighbors gathered around televisions, cheering as if he were their own son. His mother watched through tears, her hands shaking, whispering prayers of gratitude. For the first time, Juan's dream felt real, not because of fame or money, but because his voice had been heard. Juan's journey was far from over, but something had already changed. He had proven that greatness could rise from the smallest places, that poverty could not silence purpose, and that hope, when sung with honesty, could reach even the toughest hearts. And as the golden confetti settled on the AGT stage, Juan understood that dreams were not meant to stay in the sky. Sometimes, if you dared to sing loud enough, they came down to meet you.